There's a moment when she stops replying, and it's like the air in the room changes. No goodbye, no explanation, just silence that echoes louder than any argument ever could. Most guys, the second they feel that silence, they panic. They stare at their phones, replay every message, every voice note, wondering what they did wrong, what they could have said differently. They start typing out long paragraphs, checking if she's online, posting stories hoping she'll see, hoping she'll feel something, anything, that will pull her back in. They think if they just explain themselves, if they just show her how much they care, if they just remind her of the good times, she'll come back. But that's the trap. That's exactly what her silence is meant to provoke. Whether she knows it or not, it's meant to see if you'll break, if you'll chase, if you'll confirm to her ego that you still need her to feel okay with yourself. And in that desperation, in that anxious need for her to reply, to validate you again, you lose yourself. You hand over all your power in the name of love, not realizing that love without dignity is just emotional dependency. You think you're fighting for her, but really, you're fighting against yourself, against your own fear of being alone, being unwanted, of being forgotten. But what if you didn't react? What if you didn't explain? What if you let the silence sit, not as a punishment, not as a game, but as your standard? What if you use that silence as your teacher instead of your trigger? Because here's the truth. The man who can sit with the silence without chasing, without proving, without begging, becomes the man she can't forget. Not because he's trying, but because he's finally living in a way that doesn't need her to see his worth, to believe it's there. You want to know what real strength looks like? It's not sending her a long message at AM telling her how much you miss her. It's not posting stories to make her jealous or trying to get a reaction by showing you're living your best life when inside you're falling apart. Real strength is when you go quiet, not to play games, but because you understand her absence isn't a loss. It's a test. It's a test of whether you'll fold without her attention, whether you'll compromise your self-respect just to get a reply, whether you'll betray your progress for a few seconds of temporary validation. You stop checking if she's seen your story, stop watching if she's online, stop overthinking every moment you shared with her. You stop telling yourself you need closure, that you need one last conversation to feel at peace. Because peace doesn't come from her words, it comes from your decision to move forward regardless of what she decides to do. You go internal, you sharpen your routine, you start waking up earlier, training harder, working with intention, not to prove anything to her, but to prove everything to yourself. Your discipline becomes your anchor, your purpose becomes your fuel. You understand that when she walked away, she gave you space to remember who you are, what you're about, and what you're building. Every moment you feel the urge to text her, you channel that energy back into your mission, back into your goals, back into yourself. Because the truth is, she expected you to break. She expected you to reach out. She expected you to crack under the silence. But when you don't, when you remain grounded, focused, unbothered, you become a version of yourself she's never met before. A man who doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, doesn't fold. A man who becomes unforgettable, not by trying to be seen, but by becoming unshakable in her absence. You need to understand that going silent isn't about ignoring her to punish her or to play a game hoping she will notice. It's about choosing yourself in a way you never have before. You stop reacting. Stop letting your mind get hijacked by the urge to see if she's watching your stories or if she's online. You stop building your day around the hope that maybe today she'll text you back. You see, every time you check your phone hoping it's her, you're giving your power away. Every time you wonder what she's thinking, you're allowing her absence to dictate your focus. This is the moment where you stop seeing her silence as rejection and start seeing it as an invitation to step into your purpose. You stop thinking you need her to understand your worth, because the truth is, your worth doesn't decrease just because she can't see it. Your energy becomes focused on your goals, your routines, your discipline, and your evolution. You go internal, not in a bitter way, but in a powerful, intentional way. You sharpen your mind, your body, your mission. You become the man who moves with intention, who wakes up with clarity, who trains, learns, builds, and doesn't need validation from her or anyone else to feel like he's enough. She expected you to crack, to fold, to reach out with desperate texts and emotional pleas. That would confirm to her that she still has control over your emotions. But you don't give her that. Every day you don't reach out, you become a man she's never experienced before, a man who is rooted, unbothered, consistent, and focused. You're not waiting for her to come back to start living. You're already living, already evolving, and the version of you she left behind is no longer here. You are becoming a man who doesn't need to prove himself because his actions, his growth, and his silence already speak louder than any words ever could. This is where you recalibrate. This is where you transform the silence from something that haunts you into something that refines you. Most men think the silence is empty, that it's a void they need to fill with distractions, rebounds, endless scrolling, and mindless validation just to drown out the quiet. But you use this silence as a forge. You stop waiting for her to come back to feel whole. You stop letting her absence dictate your mood, your focus, your drive. You turn the energy you once wasted checking if she viewed your stories into fuel for your workouts, your learning, your projects. You start showing up for yourself in ways you never did when you were chasing her attention. Because this is the truth. Emotional independence is built in these quiet seasons, when you realize no one is coming to save you from your loneliness, your pain, your emptiness. No one is coming to fix you. It's on you to rise from it, to build yourself so solidly that nothing outside of you can shake your foundation again. You detach with grace, not bitterness. You don't hate her. You don't wish her harm. You don't waste your days hoping she regrets leaving. You accept that she made her choice, and now you make yours. You choose to level up not for her to see, but because you need to see yourself as the man you've always known you could be. You let go of the fantasy of who you wanted her to be, and the story you were trying to force. You stop negotiating your worth for temporary connection. You train your mind to find peace in being alone, to find satisfaction in your grind, to find joy in your growth. And as you build, your silence becomes powerful. It's not empty. It's filled with purpose. And that's what changes everything. You start to feel it one morning when you wake up, and you're not checking your phone first thing to see if she texted. You pour your coffee, take a deep breath, and realize you didn't think about her before you fell asleep. That's not because you don't care anymore, but because you've finally started caring about yourself more. Her silence becomes your mirror, reflecting back your own patterns, your own weaknesses, your own places where you once needed someone else's presence to feel whole. You see clearly now how much of your energy you spent trying to keep her attention, proving yourself, making sure you were enough in her eyes. Now instead, you're building a life that feels full with or without her in it. You're not performing to get her back. You're not working out to post thirst traps hoping she sees them. You're not forcing yourself to appear busy so she thinks you've moved on. You are moving on, and you're doing it quietly, deeply, without an audience, without the performance. You learn to sit with your loneliness, not run from it, not cover it up with temporary distractions. You learn to enjoy your own company, to respect your own boundaries, to find satisfaction in your progress, your discipline, your inner peace. This is the chapter where you no longer see her absence as a punishment, but as an opportunity for evolution. You stop measuring your value by who chooses to stay, and you start measuring it by how you show up for yourself when no one else is watching. Your focus shifts from proving your worth to anyone else to proving your worth to yourself. You stop seeing her silence as rejection and start seeing it as redirection, a gift that is pushing you toward the man you are meant to become, a man whose energy is too expensive to waste on chasing what no longer aligns with him. If she breaks, no contact. You don't rush to reply. You don't grab your phone with shaking hands, typing out paragraphs about how much you missed her. You don't let the excitement of her message blind you to the journey you've been on. You pause, you breathe, you sit with the message, and you feel it fully before you even think about responding. You check in with yourself first, asking if replying aligns with your growth, your peace, your standards, or if it's just your old self craving comfort in her attention again. You move at your own pace, not hers. Because now you're not reacting, you're leading. You're not jumping at the first sign of her interest, because you're not the same man she left. You don't hand her back the power she fumbled just because she decided to circle back when it's convenient for her. You don't treat her message like a lifeline. You treat it like information.